work that YBM is doing to empower Black communities globally. We have a very robust program planned for you all today. And as we get started, I need our state coordinators to use the chat feature to tell us your name and what Nigerian state you represent. I'm also asking a huge favor. Just stay with us throughout the program because we have a poll that you're going to participate in, and we have a surprise surrounding the poll. So make sure you stay with us. And just as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded for future reference. So right now, it's time for us to kick off the program, but let's first give honor to God with a quick invocation. Please join me in welcoming Reverend Fajimi for today's invocation.
Hallelujah. Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this beautiful and wonderful time that you have made possible for great minds to come together. Oh Lord, we appreciate this August period. We ask God to breathe your breath of life into everyone in this meeting. We pray, oh God, that you direct all the hearts so we can bring out resolutions that will bring help to our countries and to our people, the Black race worldwide.
Invocation, Reverend Fajimi, and God is good. Even with tech delays, even with issues, God is always in everything and God is always good. So now just a few reminders for anyone who may have just joined this event. Please keep your microphones muted and please use the chat for questions. Our speakers will answer your questions during the Q&A period if time permits. During the Q&A period, please use the raise your hand feature if you have a question to ask. If you missed it, the meeting will be recorded for future reference. And also, state coordinators, introduce yourselves in the chat, type your name and the state that you represent in the chat if you haven't done so already. We appreciate your focus and patience as we proceed with a video that we're going to launch to show you what Your Black Matters is doing in Nigeria. It's called the YBM Journey in Nigeria. Ibironke, let's roll that video when you have a moment.
The notion that Black Lives Matter has been the blueprint of Dr. Francesca Fajimi's organization with the singular mission of providing solutions to the global issues faced by the Black race in the different parts of the world. Dr. Fajimi was speaking on some of the challenges faced by the Black race at a seminar our organization Your Black Matters held at the Leeds City University noted that although Africans are seen as inferior because of their skin color, many of the world resources come from Africa. She, however, charged Nigerians as the heartbeat of Africa to embrace their blackness and encourage one another as there lies a bright future ahead of the country.
This is very important because you would know that for decades and centuries, Black people have been marginalized. Whether we want to believe it or not, that is the reality of it. It doesn't matter whether you are on the continent of Africa or you are in diaspora. Blacks are marginalized.
Nigerians were also urged to debunk the mentality that being black is a weakness and were advised to abstain from skin bleaching as it doesn't actually make anyone less African.
For parents, you need to tell your kids to be proud of who they are. Black is beautiful. Black is great. Black is intelligent. Black is powerful.
The hope is that we'll be able to bring the ethics of our children worldwide, African children, to know that they are important in the scheme of affairs of the world.
According to a lecturer at the Leeds City University, Dr. Kemisola Adeshina, and the Senior Assistant Registrar in charge of marketing, Mrs. Deborah Adejobi, the university is open to such partnership with philanthropic organizations.
Is looking at those students that were given scholarship by these missionaries. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of effort. And then they give that scholarship to those students. They don't stop at that. They follow them up.
Leeds City University is a very forward-thinking university, and we like to support as many students as possible to gain access to quality education, even though they might not be able to afford it financially. And so we support a lot of students as an organization already. When we have organizations like theirs who also want to help other students, we are happy to welcome them and to support them as much as possible.
Being proud of your language speaks respect and promotes who you really are, as it is said that if you don't like yourself, you can't blame anyone for not liking you. Emmanuel Alowonle, BCOS News.
Yes, I see the claps, round of applause. I love to see it. Making history together. Thank you for sharing that video. It feels good to see the work that's being done. YBM is doing seminal work in Nigeria, and the organization is working to provide solutions to global issues faced by Black people throughout the diaspora. The vision is to empower, inspire, and uplift Black individuals globally. So you will hear more about YBM and its work throughout the program. But first, State coordinators, please remember to introduce yourself in the chat. You have to include your name and the state that you are representing. So you'll hear me remind you a few more times throughout the program. We want to know where you're from and what state you're representing if you are a state coordinator. Now, our first speaker is going to be presenting. So you are definitely in for a treat. I have the great honor of introducing Professor Jacob Omofe Gordon. Dr. Gordon has an illustrious career spanning over 50 years, and his career has been dedicated to African studies and the Black experience in the diaspora. He is an emeritus professor at the University of Kansas and a former Kwame Nkrumah Endowed Chair at the University of Ghana. Dr. Gordon is also the author and co-author of over 30 books, contributing significantly to the advancement of knowledge on Black identity and history. Please join me in welcoming Prof. Jacob Omofe Gordon, who will speak on decolonizing the Black minds.
Thank you very much for that great introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. I am very delighted to join you on this occasion. That was a fantastic video. We're reclaiming our culture, our civilization. That's wonderful, and I want to give special thanks to Dr. Francisca Fujimi, whom I've come to know very well through my daughter, University of Lagos, for me some years ago. I was looking for a young person to help me with my project, and she told me, I know somebody. Her name is Dr. Francisca, so I called her, and she is fantastic. If you want something done, you better call the sister. She'll get it done for you. So I will say that my task is to really take a look, historical look, if you may, into our struggle for independence, and an attempt to reclaim our civilization and our culture. So reclaiming our future by decolonizing our mind is a critical topic. It's a very timely topic. We who are historians have spent a lot of time talking about decolonizing African history or global history. In my mind, this is the first time we really have addressed the issue of decolonizing our mind, which is being organized by Dr. Francisco. So let me begin with defining what do we mean by colonialism. It's a big word. Well, it can be defined in many ways. I've given you one on the screen. These socio-economic and cultural systems to enrich European countries. These countries are listed there: Belgium, Portugal, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Spain, and the list goes on, European countries. It was an attempt to really control the rest of the world by European nations. Colonialism is a system of exploitation of the rest of the world by conquest, by lying and taking people's land, destroying people's life, in fact, even killing people to secure these natural resources by European countries. Now, the whole attempt actually was well grounded in European history. Let me take 2 minutes to give you some historical perspectives on colonialism. The seeds of colonialism were planted by Pope Nicholas V in 1452, when he issued the decree, they call it Papal Bull, that established the doctrine of discovery. Pope Alexander VI reaffirmed the doctrine of discovery in 1493. The doctrine of discovery means the acquisition of all non-Christian land by any means necessary. Queen Elizabeth I, Tudor, took advantage of the doctrine of discovery when she became the Queen of England and Ireland in 1558 to 1603. She began the doctrine by colonizing the Americas, what we call the colonial America. They moved to India, and the next was Africa. The scramble for Africa began in the 16th century, and the partition of Africa was in 1884, 1885, or the Berlin Conference in Germany. And there they divided Africa into different spheres of European interest. Exploitation, stealing of African natural resources and human capital through indirect rule and assimilation in the case of the French government. That was colonialism. Now we are faced, after African independence, most of the 1960s, we are faced with what we call, and Nkrumah called it, neo-colonialism. This is a new form of new colonialism since the independence of most African nations in 1960. Today we have about 54 of them that have claimed to be independent. Really? Are they independent? The new neo-colonialism is a system that indirectly controls Africa, its rich resources, gold, diamond, and so on, and human capital by these European former colonial masters. They are not there in person, but they have collaborators, some of us, who are presidents and governors, to further exploit Africa and take all the resources to develop Europe. Both colonialism and neo-colonialism have great impact on global Africa. Next slide, please. The impact and the legacies of colonialism and neo-colonialism. I'm trying to highlight a few of them. There are very many. First is the loss of African Black identity that you saw in that video. African and Black identity. Identity rooted in our way of life, in our spirituality, in our languages, and the food we eat, our clothing. When Europeans came, they told us all those were inferior, they were bad. We have to adopt wearing European clothing, suits and ties. Doesn't matter how hot it was, the climate. The second legacy was economic dependency. We became very dependent upon European countries. We set up what I call colonial mindset. Nothing is good anymore for Africa unless it's connected to Europe. I went to Oxone. I didn't go to University of Ibadan. I went to Cambridge, and that was what's going on. Another impact is what I have called internalized inferiority. Our minds have become colonized, and we feel inferior. We don't understand that actually Black is beautiful. And that's how God created us. And we don't seem to be proud of it. We have been told that we are Black and ugly, and we are inherently inferior. That has gone into many minds, and we need to decolonize those minds. The economic and educational systems were all changed. Religions changed to the Western or European Christianity. And of course, don't forget, Islam was there in the 7th century also, Islamizing Africa and telling us their way of life was more important. And I recall reading in Senegal, Islamic leaders were there. They asked people who were Islams to stand up. They stood up. They told them, sit down. They asked people who were not Muslims to stand up, and they were all shot to death. That is the reality of the impact of neocolonialism and colonialism. So what is decolonizing the mind? Decolonization has two parts. One is decolonizing African history. Go back to reconstruct African history. We've been working on that for years. But we have done very little about decolonizing the mind, which actually ought to be the first thing. To decolonize the mind, I suggest two pathways. One is knowledge. And that knowledge is in three parts. Self-knowledge, knowing who you are yourself. A great philosopher once said, knowing who you are is the beginning of all wisdom. The second part of knowledge is the knowledge of your people, indigenous Africans and global Africa. We got to understand who we are and that we are the cradle of civilization. And that's the gift we are giving to the world. My other suggestion for decolonizing the mind has to do with character. By character, I mean mental and moral qualities that everyone has. And as ambassadors or future ambassadors, I want you to internalize this and ask yourself the question, because I see ambassadors as role models. Ask yourself the question in the front of a mirror. Who am I? What lights me up? What are my values? These questions we must confront. And as a grandfather, I leave you with this advice. Let your character be your destiny. I thank you for listening.
Thank you, Prof, for that. Just a great message. And I'm going to get in front of the mirror myself. That was great advice for everyone, not just our youth ambassadors. So I want to stop and take a moment for a few reminders. Please make sure that you keep yourself muted if you're not presenting, if you're not speaking. Please keep yourself on mute. And also, if you are a state coordinator, please tell us that you are a state coordinator in the chat, and also tell us what state you are representing as well too. Later in the program, we will launch a poll, and the participants that participate in that poll will have a chance to win a special prize. So make sure that you stay with us throughout the entire program, okay? And now this program is not over. We have another expert that will bless us with her brilliance. Our next speaker is attorney Diane Bourne. She is an equity, diversity, and inclusion advocate. And Miss Diane received a Bachelor's of Arts in Economics from Fordham University in New York. She also received a Doctor of Jurisprudence from the University in Miami, Florida, the University of Miami in Miami, Florida, and a certificate in leading diversity, equity, and inclusion from Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois. Diane has enjoyed an extensive legal career spanning more than 30 years. She's worked in both the private and public sectors. As the head of a legal department, she's interfaced with the highest level of C-suite executives and government officials, including heads of states and ambassadors. She's negotiated national and international agreements and represented a nation state at national, regional, and international conferences and meetings. In addition, she has been a panelist and presenter at national and international conferences and forums. Over the last 5 years, her practice has been focused primarily in diversity, equity, and inclusion. She's passionate about removing systemic barriers and providing equal opportunities to everyone to realize and utilize their full potentials. Please welcome attorney Diane Bourne, who will speak on the topic Defending Your Identity, Defining Your Future.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I am absolutely delighted to be here with you today and to share in this program. Thank you very much, Aisha, for that very kind introduction. Before I begin my presentation, I would like to thank Dr. Francesca Fangini, the founder of Your Black Matters, for organizing this forum. Dr. Fangini is committed to the advancement of Black people, especially Black youth in Africa and globally. She is a fierce and tireless champion who commits her time, her talent, and her treasury to making this vision a reality. Today, I was charged with the topic, Defending Your Identity, Defining Your Future. When I saw the topic, I paused for a second and wondered, why is it necessary for us as Black people to defend our identity in the year 2024? I think we can all agree that we only defend ourselves, our property, our reputation when we are resisting an attack or we are protecting ourselves from harm or danger. Is our Black identity under attack in 2024? I think if we were to reflect on the events of the last 5 years, leading with things that happened in the US, the murder of George Floyd, and that whole ripple effect around the world, we know our identity is under attack. You have heard Professor Gordon share with you about colonization and its impact globally. One of the goals of colonization was to dehumanize and devalue Black people, to convince the world that as Black people, we are inferior to white people. This supposed inferiority, therefore, give white people the right to capture and cultivate our resources for their economic benefit, and to define, exploit, rule, and mistreat Black people. Over the centuries, white colonizers have perpetrated what is commonly referred to the myth of white superiority. That is, white people are better than Black people. I will not accept or subscribe to the term myth. It is a bare-faced lie, period. Black people are not inferior to white people. They are equal to every race on earth. And the truth be told, we have achieved much more with much less resources, and history will validate that. We are indeed equal. Therefore, the statement that we are inferior to the white race was an intentionally false statement, which was meant to deceive or mislead the way the world sees Black people. It pains me to say that we as Black people, through the years of brainwashing and colonization, have bought into this lie. We believe the lie, and in some ways, we even promote the lie. Some of us believe white skin is prettier, white people are more intelligent. We must reject and undo lies and replace it with the truth about ourselves, the truth about each other, and the truth about all mankind. Let us begin by having a look at what is identity, and as a Black people, how do we identify? I will break down identity into 3 core groups. First of all is your given identity. That is the information about our ascribed characteristics. Things such as things we have absolutely no control over. Things just such as where we were born, or nationality, or race, or ethnicity, or sex. And then the second one is our chosen identity. This represents the things that you control, the choices you make, and the skills you have. For example, these may include your career, your occupation, your religion, your hobbies, and your relationships. I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a mother, I'm a friend. And the third is really what really helps to define us, and that's our core identity, who we are in our innermost being. This signifies that you are unique. There are areas and behaviors and values that are deeply seated and they remain consistent. Some of our core values change over time, but the really deep-seated values remain with us throughout our lives. I will pose the question to you as young people, future ambassadors. How do you identify yourself? If someone were to ask you, who are you? Would your response be, I'm a 16-year-old boy or girl born in Nigeria. I am from X tribe. I am a student. I play basketball and chess. Yes, we do sports and we do academic pursuits. I value my family and friends, honesty and kindness. That is who we are as people. We care about each other. We care for each other. We are good, decent, hardworking, productive people. And nobody should tell you otherwise. And even more importantly, nobody should make you believe otherwise. As Black people, we should always strive to see ourselves through our own eyes. The traits and characteristics that define us, that make us unique. We should share and celebrate our gifts with the world. And we contribute to society in every aspect, every sphere, arts, sciences, sports. It is time for us to stop having other people define us and to seek their approval and to validate us. We are enough. Actually, we are more than enough. We are among the best of the best young people. If there's one thing I would like to impart with you today is to know your worth, know your value, be proud of who you are as a Black person. I would like to share with you a quote from the writer George Martin. And he says, never forget who you are, for surely the world will not. Make it your strength. Then it can never be your weakness. Armor yourself with it. Armor yourself with your Black pride, and it will never be used to hurt you. If you value yourself as a Black person, there's nothing another person can say to you that devalue yourself, your esteem, and your worth. In order to defend your identity, you must know who you are. You must be prepared to effectively defend your identity at all times. How do you prepare to defend your identity? Well, you have to equip yourself with knowledge. I think Professor Gordon told you, knowledge is key for several reasons. You must read, you must sit at the feet of your elders and gain from their experiences. Historical knowledge, oral traditions, they're part of our history and they're important. They're as equally important as things that you read in books. They're lived experiences. They have value. They have worth. Listen to television programs, listen to podcasts, listen to things that edify your mind, that uplift your spirits, that inspire you, that inform you. You must seek to verify the truth of the things you hear. Just as we were told that we were decolonized and there was a lot of brainwashing, there is still brainwashing going on today, but the forms are a lot more subtle than it was before. They're coded words that they use because some certain words, it's no longer politically correct for you to say anymore. When you have the knowledge of who you are, you can refute, you can disprove, you can quash any and all false statements that attempt to make you feel less than who you are as a Black person, a valued member of society, a contributing member of society. The truth is, you are equal to every race on planet Earth. Many Black people today still believe the lie that white skin is prettier than Black skin. Data from the World Health Organization shows bleaching is prevalent in Nigeria. Their statistics show that 77% of Nigerian women bleach and 28% of men bleach. Regrettably, bleaching is happening not only in Nigeria, but all over the diaspora. Black people are bleaching, seeking acceptance. Bleaching your skin does not make you less Black. Actually, the cost of bleaching is more than just the price you pay for it. There are several serious health hazards associated with bleaching, and I just mentioned a few. High blood pressure, fatigue, kidney failure, lung damage, and skin cancer. Now, are those risks worth it? Do you need somebody's approval that badly? Look in the mirror, tell yourself you're beautiful. Look at your ancestors, see their contributions. Then you'll understand your lineage, then you'll understand your worth. Young people, it's time for you to make some conscious decisions and the correct decision. And that is to embrace your Blackness. And yes, Blackness comes in all forms, in all shades. Love the skin you're in, from the guava yellow to the dark ebony. Be proud of your nose. Its structure, it's yours, it's uniquely yours. Your full lips, the same lips that other people get Botox injections to look like you, although they condemn you. Be proud of those. Additionally, be proud of your bodies. You do not need a reality star or a celebrity who has paid for implants to make their body look like yours to give you value and worth. Know and believe that your body is beautiful, you are valued. You are uniquely Black, and your Blackness must be celebrated. One of the tools to decolonize us and to make us inferior is our intellect. Black people cannot think for themselves. So white people have to tell us how to eat, as the Prof said, what to wear, what kind of God we should worship, what religions we should subscribe to. I do not believe that. I know it to be false, and I hope you come to that realization as well. Let's talk about Black intellect. Black people are inferior? Did you say inferior? I'm sorry. But have you heard about the Great Pyramids built around 2600 BC? The oldest of the 7 wonders of the ancient world? And a UNESCO World Heritage Site? What about some of our respected and celebrated heads of states and leaders from the African continent and those around the world of African heritage? Your own President Obasanjo of Nigeria, President Nelson Mandela of South Africa, President Barack Obama of the United States. Also, what about our writers? Intellect, we've got writers who are celebrated all over the world. One of the world's greatest writers of all times is your own Chinua Achebe. We also have, for the modern generation, we have people like Ben Okri and Chimamanda Adichie. In every arena, and I can list Africans and people of African heritage who have reached the top of their careers, who have contributed greatly to the world, and they have done this with much less resources at their disposal than their white counterparts. When you know your history and the achievements of your people, you can proudly armor yourself with it and defend your Black identity. Although we do not need to, we still have to, and that is sad. Make your Blackness your strength. Then it can never be your weakness. You will never feel less than because you know your lineage. You know you are Black and you are powerful. You would say, like the songwriter and lyricist said, Nina Simone, to be young, gifted, and Black, what a precious, lovely feeling. And it indeed is. Defining your future. The fact that you're here today is one step in defining your future. As a youth ambassador, you have decided to step up and to step out. You have made the decision to step into the role of youth ambassador. In your role as youth ambassador, you will act as a representative or promoter of Black courage, Black excellence, and Black identity. As youth ambassadors, you will be equipped with the training resources you need to excel in this role. You will step out with confidence and boldness. You will step out with the certainty that yes, you can make a difference. You may ask yourself, how can a child my age make a difference? Well, let me tell you about a few young people who certainly did. Do you know of Hector Peterson? Hector Peterson was a 12-year-old child in South Africa who walked out to protest apartheid, which was one of the catalysts for bringing the end to apartheid in South Africa. I'm sure you must have heard of Greta Thunberg, the climate activist who at 15 challenged the world and children all over the world to change by rising up and speaking about issues that affect and concern her. Now, young people, you know that you can change the world. How do you define yourself? Do you see any barriers to your future? and ways to remove them? What would make a brighter future for you, your peers, and future generations? How would you like to contribute to the world? How would you like your future to be brighter? Successful people are not successful by chance. To be successful, it takes vision, preparation, and commitment. You must have a vision, set your goal, and understand the path you must travel to achieve that goal. First, you identify the things you're good at, what qualities, what gifts you have, and develop those gifts to the fullest. Next, you look at careers or the things that you can do to change the world, change your community, change your school, change your environment, and you apply those talents and gifts. Identify a career path, identify your goals, and work towards achieving them. Many times, people are quick to tell you what you can't do. Never tell yourself what you can't do, but always seek a path to the things you want to do. And I'll give you a story about somebody called Anthony Spud Webb. Anthony Webb wanted to be a basketball player. He wanted to play in the NBA more than anything in this whole world. But he was born 5'7". It's one of those things he can't change. You know, basketball players, they're 6'5", 6'7". Some of them are 7-footers. But Anthony Webb was determined. Commitment, dedication, and sheer grit earned him a place in the NBA. Not only did he play in the NBA, but believe it or not, he won an NBA slam dunk commission. At every stage of your growth and development, you need to be aware that life is bigger than you are. The decisions you make will determine the outcomes of your life. People who understand the importance of team building, strength and unity, helping others along, do much better than those who are self-centered. We each have something to give. Share your gifts. Practice being kind. At this stage in your life, you are accountable to your parents, teachers, and those in authority. And most of all, you're accountable to yourself. Every thought you think, every action you take, every decision you make, it does either one of two things. It either carries you closer to your goal or it carries you away from your goal. Strive for a healthy balance in your lives. Avoid negative habits and people. Be a person of integrity, and I cannot stress that enough. Be a person of integrity. Be a person of your word. Be honest. Be respectful. Give life your best. Strive for excellence. Be of service to others, and above all, be accountable. You are responsible for the choices and your actions. In closing, I will leave you with a quote from Harper Lee, the author of the classic, To Kill a Mockingbird. The quote reads, "Before I live with other folk, I've got to live with myself. The one thing that doesn't abide by majority rule is a person's conscience." Be brave. Be courageous. Ambassadors, do well. And in all your doings, make sure that you conduct your life and your affairs in such a way that you can live with your conscience. Blessings upon you all. I thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bourne, for those powerful and inspiring words. And now we will hear from a few of our beneficiaries who will share their stories in this short video.
My name is Taiwo Akinwande, and I'm from Nigeria. Your Black Matters Foundation is a platform created for the development and growth of Black lives, and the main targets are the youth and teenagers included, supporting and encouraging youth on self-development, self-awareness, education, and also God awareness to help us level up with the world standard and live a better life as Blacks. Your Black Matters Foundation has helped me through my stay in school. I'm a fresh graduate. I just completed my higher national diploma some weeks ago. Met Daddy about 9 years ago. While I was doing labor work, I was molding blocks for house building then. So so that it talked to me that I have a better life ahead of me, that I should pursue my education, and he also introduced me to different platforms that I can get skill acquisition to create a better version of myself. And it has been awesome so far. I'm glad that I am part of this foundation. I'm a great beneficiary of this foundation, and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you.
I waited for many years, about 7 years before I was given the scholarship opportunity. So when I was given the scholarship opportunity when I got to school, I made sure I study hard. I read every day in order to come out with a good grade. So in 300 level, I won the overall best student in my faculty with a CGPA of 4.90. I finished my undergraduate in Lee City University here in Nigeria, and I'm finishing with a CGPA of 4.90. I'm one of the best students that Lee City is producing in this 2024. I'm giving thanks to God for making me to meet this opportunity to have the chance to go to school. Your Black Matter gave me the scholarship of 2 million naira to finish my undergraduate program at Lee City University, Ibadan, Nigeria.
Greetings to everyone. My name is Adegoke Boluwatife. I am 11 years old, a JSS3 student at the Bell Secondary School, Hota, Nigeria. I want to comment on the good things YBM holiday training has done to help me. I am greatly impacted. I commend the organizers of the program for the initiative. I commend their efforts and support in finding good tutors that are patient and understand the students. The fact that I was taught what I was going to meet in my next class is commendable. It was a one-on-one engagement. The lesson has really prepared me to be able to compete favorably with my peers who might not have had the opportunity of such training. Assuredly, I am better prepared to learn faster and gain more understanding of what I would be taught in my next class. Especially, I want to thank my teacher, Mr. Sanusi Akinkumi, for his understanding. He is very meticulous. Particularly, I like the way he repeats areas that are not clear to me anytime I raise concerns. Lastly, I want to say a very big thank you to YBM, the organizer of summer lessons. Thank you so much and God bless.
Good day, ma'am. My name is Sanusi Saman. I am 11 years old. I am in GS2. I enjoy this tutoring section because my tutor teaches me well. Even if you have a complaint, the email is always responding quick. Esther Went. May the Lord bless you, YBM. At your Black Matter. Thank you.
Hi everyone. I'm a YBM ambassador.
I'm a proud YBM ambassador.
Yeah. I'm a YBM ambassador.
I am the YBM ambassador.
YBM ambassadors are the future. God bless YBM. That was beautiful to see, and I can see everyone is enjoying the presentations today. Thank you for joining us. We're going to keep moving along in our program right now. It's my absolute pleasure and privilege to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Francesca Fujimi. Not only is Dr. Fujimi a distinguished leader with over 30 years of experience in major global organizations, but I've also had the opportunity to observe her work as a senior leader in business and as a mentor. As the founder of Your Black Matters, Dr. Fujimi has been a relentless advocate for addressing the global challenges faced by the Black race. I deeply respect her work as an author and a thought leader. She has guided countless individuals around the world, and today she will share YBM's journey and speak about the critical role that the youth ambassadors play in reclaiming our future. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Francesca Bajimi.
Yay, she's here. Let's give a round of applause. Oh my gosh, it has been awesome. And I have to thank God for giving me and us the opportunity to come together today to participate in such a wonderful, wonderful program. It could not have been possible except by him, right? That's why we're here. And I'll tell you, I'm in California. Some of us that are over here, we woke up really early, and it's still early for us. And those of you in the East Coast, lucky you. And for you in Nigeria or Africa, that's not fair because it's middle of the day. You've been having fun already. And here we are trying to wake up, trying to keep our eyes open. But you know what? The moderator, all the speakers, they've done a phenomenal job. I did not blink. I mean, I was just glued to the screen, hearing them and just being engaged. And I have to tell you, you know, those kids that we just saw, I'm telling you, it just brought so much joy to my heart, just watching them and just hearing, you know, how they interact, how these are the presidents of the future. These are prime ministers. These are head of states that we're looking at here. So, you know what? I don't even know what to say anymore. But guess what? I have to present something, okay? So let me share my screen and then we get into my presentation. Honestly, what I'm going to be presenting, you probably heard it all because as I was listening to our presenters, it's like, wait, okay, well, I don't need to say anything about that anymore because it's already been presented. So I'm just grateful for the zeal and the passion that everyone has brought into this. As you know, the theme is reclaiming our future by decolonizing our minds. It means that there's something there. There are two things that you need to look at when you look at this, this phrase over here. When you have to reclaim something, it means you lost it or you're striving to actually operate at the optimal level. Then the approach to reclaiming it is not like your normal stuff, you know, make sure you work hard, make sure you go to school, make sure you know, be obedient, make sure you do all that. It's none of those. The approach to reclaiming our future is by decolonizing our mind. It's like, whoa, was something wrong with my mind? I'm sure you've already gathered that from everything that is being shared. There are a lot of things that we need to be looking at. Now, let's talk briefly about some of the impacts that YBM has had since we started. You already heard from some of those testimonials, some of those children and even the young ones, well, they're not so young anymore, they're in university. You heard from them the impact that YBM has had on them. But in general, this is what we're all about: amplifying, inspiring, and uplifting the Black race. Whatever that means to you, it's all positive, right? That's what YBM is all about. But keep in mind, it's about the Black race. And when you say Black race, I just want you to know whether you are a fair-skinned Black person, or let's not say Black person. Let's say whether you're fair-skinned, as in bleached, or unbleached, but fairer, or you dark, or you in between, whatever it is, all of us, Black, that's what we're talking about. If the phrase is African, then we're talking about indigenous African people, not people that went to Africa, became Africans, South African, you know what I'm talking about, that became Africans. I'm not talking about those, I'm talking about Africa, us. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Those are the one we're talking about uplifting. These are some of the things we've done. We're expanding in a global manner. This organization started in the United States in 2020. We've reached many countries, Nigeria, obviously one of them, We've been to South Africa, we've been to Brazil, we've been to Tanzania, we've been to Malawi, we've been to Kenya, Ghana, we've been to a number of, even Fiji Island, right? Anywhere Black people are, that's the goal. We'll fish them out and be able to amplify, inspire, and uplift them. We're also using educational opportunities. You know, when you have kids, and think about this, if you in Africa especially, you have kids that are so smart, so intelligent, but they just don't have the resources. Let's put it simply, they don't have the money to be able to go to college. Well, YBM is there, sponsoring some of the kids that you heard speaking about being sponsored to go to university. That's what YBM is doing, elevating and providing educational opportunities, inspiring youth excellence. Did you hear those kids when they were talking about YBM? You know, some of them, YBM at Your Black Matters. It's like every time I see it, just brings smile to my face. That's what we're doing, inspiring youth excellence, providing the tools for them to be able to operate at any level in the world. That's what I'm talking about, in the world. Elevating career potential. Now, those young adults that you heard from, they're not just being sponsored to go to university. Yes, you can go to university. Some of them, they're doing bachelor in human anatomy, accounting, English and literary studies, chemistry education, you know, all of those kind of stuff, Greek science. It doesn't matter what your bachelor is. You're going to be trained on marketable skills. I don't care what you go to college for. You're going to be trained on coding. You're going to be trained on research. You're going to be trained on analysis. You're going to be trained just so many opportunities, to the extent that if you go through this program, it does not matter what your degree is. You may have a degree in, I don't know, janitorial services. It doesn't matter. You will come out with marketable skills, to the extent that you already have a couple of years experience by the time you graduate. That's what we're talking about, elevating career potential, honoring and amplifying Black heritage. Well, you need to know what it is to be able to honor it and amplify it. Some of the things we do, we celebrate Black History Month in the United States. We celebrate Youth Day in South Africa. Some of you may or may not know about the Soweto Uprising in South Africa. It is absolutely worth celebrating. The next one we're going to do next year, we will make sure we invite all of you, because you need to be part of it. You need to know about the Black History Month in the United States. You need to know about Youth Day in South Africa. They are critical moments that every Black person on earth must know about. And we continue to inspire conversations for change. We have a podcast on reimagining Black relations. And as a matter of fact, the speakers that you had today, they came on the podcast. In engaging with them, I knew I cannot let them go, because they have content that every Black person needs to know about. So this is where we are. Your Black Matters, we've had impact to date. We're not there yet. We're still going. And we know that, oh, upcoming milestone? No. It's not upcoming anymore. It is now. YBM Ambassadors Network Nigeria. It is happening as we speak. So it's not upcoming anymore. It's going right there to the top now, because we've done it, almost done with it. So I'm really excited. And we're going to dive a little bit more into what we need to know about this. Now, this particular slide is so important to me, because I want you to understand, when we're talking about Black, we need to know what we're really talking about. And this slide is going to picture to you the challenges that is faced by every human being on earth, regardless of where you're located. Whether you're located in the West, European countries, on the continent of Africa, it does not matter where you're located. I want you to understand that everybody, they are faced with this set of challenges. So I'm just going to run through them. The gap between the rich and poor is getting wider. It doesn't matter where you live on earth, it continues to get wider. Political instability. Well, I don't need to explain this to you. Even here in the United States, which is the cradle of democracy, we've had some challenges. Remember January the 6th here in the United States, where the Capitol, the seat of power, was almost hijacked completely. So if we have that problem over here in the United States, then you know that any problem in the world in terms of political challenges, it's expected. Okay. Public health crisis. Remember COVID? I think we were all around when we saw COVID, and a lot of people's lives were taken. This actually scares me because it means that we collectively, as the human race, we don't have what it takes to handle any global pandemic. So it is a crisis. Every part of the world, they're experiencing a climate change, rising temperature, all kinds of weather changes and anomalies. And when this happens, you know what that means? When you expect it to rain during a period of time, and when it rains, you plant and you have food to eat. Well, when the climate changes, rain doesn't come, you have high temperature, the food that you're supposed to get, you don't get it. So climate change, whether we believe it's an hoax, whether we believe it or not, it's real. But it's actually affecting the food that goes on our table. It may eventually affect us being able to live, because if you don't have food, it's a challenge. Education inequality. This is not about black or white. This is just period regarding where you live. If you're in a neighborhood, even if you're here in the United States, if you're in a neighborhood that does not have, the right stuff, you will have inequality in education. Or they may actually give you teachers that are not that qualified, or teachers that are just frustrated because they don't have the tools to do their work. But you can go to some other places in the same Western culture where they have everything that they need to have perfect education. Somebody is doing something on my screen. Please stop writing on the screen if you don't mind. I can see some blue stripes. See, help me out. Can somebody just please stop doing that? I'll appreciate it. Please cancel what you're doing or take it off. I appreciate it. I know you guys are so smart. You are too intelligent for me, but I just see the thing pop up on my screen. Does anybody know who's doing that? Can you just tell them to remove it, please? I just don't want that to continue. Okay. Technological disruption. I want to believe, regardless of where you are on planet Earth, you've heard about artificial intelligence. You've heard about robots. You've heard about all these things that when they say disruption, it's happening. It's uprooting everything we know and it's taking over. That's what's going on with technology. And with that technology, some people are afraid. They're thinking that, oh my gosh, maybe it's going to take my job. Maybe I won't have any job anymore. I won't be able to do this. But this is a challenge that we all face globally. However, on top of this global challenge, Black people, they need to wrestle with dependencies, economic dependencies, meaning that you, as a Black person, because you're Black, you do not have the same opportunity as other racial group. Let's use, I'll just use the example in the United States. I've heard this phrase so many times. There's this saying that you work twice as hard to earn half as much, which means you do double what everybody normally does, but you earn half of what everybody else earns. Okay? That's disturbing. Well, it's reality. Then if you go to Africa, where you are, you have all these beautiful, wonderful, life-transforming natural resources that you cannot control, because there are higher powers. Prof was telling us about neocolonialism, higher powers that are interested in all those natural resources that you have over there. Your government, there are higher powers that are hamstringing your government not to be able to do what they're supposed to do. Otherwise, they will kill them. Okay? This is what we call economic dependency. I'm going to run through this. I don't want to lose you. Loss of identity. Oh my gosh. Diane, Prof, they talked about this. I don't need to go too much into this. You already know that. Inequitable treatment. Blacks are treated so unfairly. Doesn't matter whether you want to believe it or not. Blacks are treated so unfairly. I'm going to give you a very tiny example. I hope I'm not going to burn my time up. I interviewed for a job. This must have been, it was over 10 years ago. So the interview was phone interview. So they will interview you on the phone, and they loved me. They just said, oh my gosh, when would you like to start? We talked about all that. And then they said, you know what, why don't you come in? Let's just meet you before you start. So I went in. My husband will remember this vividly. I went in. I will not tell you the company name because it is a major multinational. So I went in to meet them. When I got there, I sat down, I sat for a while, and then somebody came out and I introduced myself. And then they said that they looked at me and they said, we'll get back to you. So they did not ask me anything. They did not say, oh, it's a pleasure meeting you. They just said, we'll get back to you. Guess what? They never did. Do you know what just happened? My skin color. I had everything that they needed on the phone because sometimes my voice doesn't sound black, So they got everything they needed from me on the phone. But when I got in front of them, they saw what they're not comfortable with. That's what I call inequitable treatment, okay? If it was a different skin color, it would not be an issue. We talked about internalized inferiority. Professor dealt with that extensively. Miseducation. This is not education inequality. Miseducation is intentionally teaching you the wrong things. Hear me out. Miseducation, which is prone to in the Black community or in Black nations, they teach you the wrong things. Things that are not relevant for your growth, for your knowledge. Now, for those of you that are in Africa, I know they've removed history from the university, African, or even high schools, elementary school. I don't know if you still do history, but the deal is this. Even when you do history, they will teach you about the British Empire. They will teach you about this empire and the Aristotle and the Socrates, Greek philosophers. It's like, hello, what am I supposed to do with that? This history of my people, the history of Africa, indigenous Africa, but the history of my ancestor, well, they don't teach that. That's miseducation, teaching you the wrong thing. And even in the Western world, they don't treat the history of Blacks the way it ought to be treated. Everybody needs to know about Black history. Everybody. Not just Black people, everybody. If they're teaching you about Aristotle and Greek philosophers, why can't they teach everybody about Black history? That's what I'm saying. Miseducation, it's one of those things. Exploitation, you already know that. Cultural erosion, oh my gosh, our identity is gone. Our culture is like, it's being suppressed. We don't even like to speak our language anymore. We're embarrassed to speak our language. We're so shy. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't want them to know I speak a different language. Hello, somebody. Orúkọ mi ni Francesca Omodele Ìyàwó Fájìmí. That's my language. I just told you my name is Francesca Funlola Fájìmí, the wife of Fájìmí. I need to be proud of my culture. Please, it doesn't make you any less of who you are. You are still who you are. So, I mean, when you really think about all these issues, you move back and you say, whoa, you have the global challenges in white, then you have some of the challenges faced by Black people in orange. That's enough to make somebody to be angry and say, hello, somebody, that's not fair, okay? Well, guess what? That's what we go through. Let's talk about Africa's legacy and its current standing right now. I don't believe, because I've spoken to a number of experts, and over 95% of anthropologists agree that Africa is the cradle of humanity and civilization. When we say cradle of humanity, what we mean is that human beings originated from Africa. For those of you that are Christians, in the Bible, it says that in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve were created. They believe, the anthropologists believe Adam and Eve, they were created in Africa. The Garden of Eden is in Africa. So that's why they said the cradle of humanity is Africa. And guess what? If that's not enough for you, let me tell you, when you mix colors with black, you can get different colors. Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. I'm hearing you. Please, please, please. Help me out. Mute yourself. I just want to hear myself. Please, I told you already. Okay. Now, if you don't even believe the the scriptures that I just shared with you, when you take any color, and you mix it with black, you can get different colors from it. Black is a very powerful color that it makes sense that humanity came from a black person because you can get different colors from black. If you take white, you cannot get different color when you start from white. You cannot get different colors. So black is the color that is able to bring forth many other colors in racial groups. So Africa is the cradle of humanity. That's what that means. Now, when we say Africa is the cradle of civilization, this means that civilization, the art and the sciences, the knowledge, the writing that we have today, the education that we say we're talking about, everybody wants to have the education, started from Africa. As a matter of fact, Egypt, when you think about the pyramids, I think Diane mentioned the pyramids in Egypt. Those were education, those were civilization that we're talking about there. And they did not have to say that, oh, we need to get some books from Europe, we need to get some books from America to be able to figure out how to build this pyramid. It started from there. So Africa is both the cradle of humanity and civilization, and their academic literature to support this. However, we lost that status of being, especially cradle of civilization. We lost the status. I provided 4 key things as the reason for this loss of this status. Colonization, it's already been explained extensively by the previous speakers. Suppression, distortion, and erasure of African history and literature. That was intentional. The little history that you know now, it's a distorted history. You don't know the real history. The real one has been suppressed. The real one has been erased. The few that you have remaining, for those of you that are doing any history at all, they're not real. They tell you that, oh, they eat, they're cannibals over there. They're in the jungle. It's a jungle, right? That's what they say over here. Africa is a jungle. They eat people. So the history and all that information about achievement are suppressed or distorted or eliminated. We talk about miseducation. Now, decoupling of Egypt from Africa. I don't know whether for those that are on the continent of Africa, they realize that Egypt is part of Africa. Egypt was always part of Africa. On this side of the world, Egypt has been decoupled, has been separated from Africa. Do you know why? I think you can guess. We had the civilization in Egypt. We had all those great things that they accomplished. And because it was border to Middle East, they sort of like carved them to be part of Middle East. So the little things that Egypt still have, we don't want to associate that to Africa. We better associate it to a non-African continent. That was intentional. So they intentionally decouple Egypt from Africa. I had a friend one time that said, her mom told her that Egypt should be part of Africa. She went through all the library. They could not find any information that Egypt is part of Africa. This is here in the United States. So this is what happened. This is how Africa lost its identity or being the cradle of civilization. Let me keep moving. Now, I have not seen this classification before, but when I was thinking about what I'm going to share with you, I put this together. And I want you to understand what I'm trying to share with you here. Now, you know, Western world, right? Everybody talks about Western world, they have, development and all that. Now, if you think about Africa being the cradle of civilization, wouldn't it be natural that Africa or Black countries should be part of developed countries? Guess what? No, they're not. There are 38 developed countries. When I did this research, out of those 38, how many Black countries are there? 0. There are 120 developing countries. 23 of them are Black countries. When you think about the least developed countries, there are 46. 33 of them are Black countries. 72% of them are Black countries, least developed. Now, put on the hat of Africa being the cradle of civilization. You see what has happened. It was intentional. Africa was intentionally stripped of what can associate them with being the cradle of civilization. Keep going with me as I'm going to share this with you. Now, this slide is extremely important to me, and I want you to get it. And every time I present, if you've heard me present before on Black Matters, I present this slide. And anytime we are going to meet in the future, we will always talk about this slide because we have to remind ourselves of what we are dealing with. And this is the depiction of Black people in Encyclopedia Britannica. And I group this depiction into 6 distinct buckets, okay? And I'm going to walk through the first 3 of them. Now, there's so many things that were said in this, and Encyclopedia Britannica, they're trying to remove it from circulation, the 1798 version. But guess what? I bought a print of the information that has this, because you know what's going to happen? In 50 years, we will not be able to get this anymore, and it's going to be another suppressed information. But this must not go away because we need to remind ourselves of how we got to where we are, okay? So, I want to make sure you are able to get this very, very clearly. They said they're trying to tell us what Black people looks like. So the first thing is, I want you to just understand Negro means Black, okay? The first to my left, in this definition, they implied that Black people are subhuman. And why did I say that? Focus on the orange portion on the screen. A name given to a variety of the human species. Now, there's human. There's only one human species when you really think about it, but there's a variety of them. We carve out some piece of humans that we call them Negro. They're Black. They're not sort of like the human, all human, but there are some, some separate stuff, some separate anomaly. They're varied. They're not human. They are varied from human. That's the first thing. The second one, and I labeled this derogatory depiction of physical traits. It's a lot of big words, but just focus on the orange. It says Black people, they have a short, broad, flat nose, thick lips, small ears, ugliness, as in you are ugly, irregularity of shape, characterize their external appearance. This basically said, when you look at a Black person, any Black person, you're going to see a short, broad, flat nose, like mine. You're going to see thick lips, just like mine. You're going to see small ears, just like my ears small. You're going to see ugliness, as I am, as we all are ugly, as they said. And they said you're going to see irregularity of shape, that we are irregular. We're not regular like the normal people. We are irregular. That's what they're saying. They said this is what characterized our external appearance. So remember, I told you I went for that interview, when I went to visit that company. Well, this is what they saw. They said this is what characterized their external appearance. So when I showed up, they saw this. It's like, ooh, this is not what I want. Moving to the next one, dehumanization and moral condemnation. Another big word, but look at what they say here. They said unhappy race. Black people, all of them, because they said race, they did not say unhappy person. They said unhappy race, the whole Black race, unhappy. Now, these are some of the things that they use to define us. They said we are idle, we're lazy. That's what it means, we're lazy. It says revengeful, that we take revenge at all times. We're cruel. We are horrible people. We are dangerous. It said we steal. The whole Black race, all of you in Africa, you're thieves. All the 40 million plus African Americans that are here, they are thieves. All the 50 million Black people in Brazil, 50 million plus in Brazil, they are thieves. In the Caribbean, all of them, they are thieves. They sell, they steal. Liars. all these people, several billions, maybe almost 2 billion, they are all thieves, they are all liars. They profane, they are nasty, they are all these things. In fact, there's a piece I did not underline here. I think it would be good. They said, are said to have extinguished the principles of natural law and to have silenced the reproofs of conscience. I mean, let me not go deep into that because it will take me another 5 minutes to explain it to you. There's still more. We're not done. Okay, look at what they have down here. But they likewise differ from other men in all features of their face. When you look at our face, we differ from all other men. All other men that are not Black, we differ. And that is telling us we're sort of not normal. We're sort of not full human. We're inhuman because we don't look like human beings. That's what they're saying. Objectification of Black female bodies. They say Black female. Let's look at what it says first. It said, let's just read this. The Negro women have their loins greatly depressed and very large buttocks. Okay, well, guess what? Actually, if they say we have large buttocks, I'll take that because a lot of people want to have some sort of large buttocks. Okay, but they're not saying that as a compliment here. They said that large buttocks gave the back the shape of a saddle. Now, a saddle is that leather thing they put on a horse that when you want to ride a horse, you sit on it, that leather thing. They said our buttocks look like that thing. So it's not a compliment. They basically, I'll tell you the truth, they objectify female body. It's an object. A woman, a Black woman is an object. Okay, I can do whatever I want with her. I can toss her. I can play with her. She's like a doll. She has no mind of her own. She can't think. She's dumb. You know, she really can't, you know, she doesn't know anything. So I can do whatever I want with her. This is how they are depicting Black women. And then this last one. Read with me. Strangers to every sentiment of compassion. An awful example of the corruption of man when left to himself. So, when you leave a Black person to themselves, they cannot function. That's what this is saying. They cannot function when left to himself, almost like your dog, almost like your pet. When you leave your little dog, you know, may go around the house and just chew shoes and what have you. Same as a Black person. When you leave them around, you know, they're going to mess up, you know, they're not, you know, all of this thing. Now, let me tell you something. You must understand what happened to Black people from this point forward. This is the real point of no return where colonization of the mind begins to take place. You already know that colonization was the period, Prof, you know, extensively covered this, but I just want to bring you to this. Just wrap this home with what we're reading when we're looking at on this screen with me. Colonization was the period when Europeans, they took over and controlled literally the rest of the world, including Africa. Now, when Prof said it, he said they controlled the land and all the natural resources and all aspects of African life, Black lives. Let's just focus on Africa for a second. And what this also means is they made decisions about how people live and earn money. You cannot just, because, you know, when they colonize you, when they rule over you, when they take over what you have, you know, you cannot do what you want to do freely. So they control how you live, how you earn money, the laws that govern you, they control it. How you learn and you are taught, they control it. How you worship and practice your faith, they control it. And I'm glad Prof actually brought out Christianity and Islam, because sort of everybody nobody really remembers the aspect of Islam in this. But the point is not about a particular group. The point is about what has happened to Africa and the root cause of all those things. It is not a one religious group or the other religious group. It is what these racial groups has done to Africa. And in the name of religion, they're coming in and they made it look as if it is that religion that did it, whether it's Islam or Christianity. They made it look as if it's that. So colonization controls how we now worship and practice our faith. Our laws are enforced and justice is served. Even our value system, what we value, you know, when you think about our cultures, our tradition, our language, right? They control that completely. They did all of these things while promoting the idea that whites are superior to everybody else. Think about that. When Prof mentioned the Berlin Conference, this was a meeting that was held in Berlin, Germany. This is very important. I want you to know what Berlin Conference is, okay? Listen to me so that you'll understand what it is. There was a meeting that was held with the European powers, Britain, Germany, France, Portugal, Spain, Belgium, and one other, Netherlands. So these were the European powers. So they held this meeting. During this conference, those powers, they negotiated among themselves how to divide Africa into colonies. Okay, a colony is a territory or country that is controlled and ruled by another country. Okay, now, so they had a meeting on how they're going to divide the whole of Africa into colonies. So I think about 6, 7 countries, right? European powers. How they're going to divide Africa among themselves. Okay, so that's what happened at the Berlin Conference. In this case, Britain, they owned and control the African countries that speak English today. The African countries that speak English today, those are the ones that Britain owned and dominated and controlled. That includes Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and many other African countries. I think maybe there's 13 or 14 of them. Prof probably would know if you want to know at some point. So anyway, Britain controlled that. Now, there are also other colonies that, remember I told you colonies are being controlled by another country. So when I say other colonies, there are another pockets of African countries that speaks French. So you have the English speaking colonies, you have the French speaking colonies, you have Portuguese speaking colonies, Spanish, Dutch, Arabic, okay? That tells you something, and German. So not only did they control the land and the natural resources, they control how we learn, how we think, our sense of right and wrong. Essentially, they controlled us physically, mentally, and psychologically. Okay? Now, that's not all. Prof talk about neocolonialism. Those are big words, but you just need to understand the concept. That's all that matters here. Neocolonialism. Colonialism is what we just talked about. The neocolonialism, he said, is a newer form of colonialism. But this started after independence, after the African countries gained independence. So for example, Nigeria gained independence in 1960 on October 1st, as a matter of fact. It's coming, it's around the corner. So for a country to gain independence, it means that it becomes free from the control of another country. So in the case of Nigeria, this means that Nigeria will now be free from the rule, control, domination of Britain. This will now allow the country to make its own decision about its government without interference from the former ruling country, right? Without interference from Britain. That's what it's supposed to mean. Well, this is the deal. Even though the countries were officially free, the old colonial powers still have indirect control, and they continue to take advantage of the resources and the people while pretending the countries are fully independent. This, as Prof said, is what neocolonialism is. And both colonialism and neocolonialism is what brought us to where we are today. Because neo is still happening. You may want to believe the colonization is gone, but the neo is still happening. Now think about the depictions that we just went through, what you're looking at on the screen. Blacks are thieves, the liars, the ugly, the lazy, the revengeful, they're less than human, they're dumb, they're unhappy people. And the last one, which always gets me, an awful example of the corruption of man when left to himself. The bad thing that can ever happen to man when you leave him to himself is what will happen when a black thing or when a black man walks into a room. In legal terms, as Diane spoke about defending your identity, when someone damages somebody else's reputation through false and harmful statement, this is defamation of character, right? I think we all know that. Defamation of character. They'd say, you did this, this person is this, that person is that, but you really did not do that. You're damaging their character. So when this defamation is written, it's called libel. When it's oral, it's called slander. Okay? Now, what we're just looking at on the screen, let's say they did not tell us to our face all this thing, but it's written. It's written. Even if we don't want to say it's slander, at the minimum, it's libel. At the minimum, which means you can actually sue the person that did this to you. They defamed your character. You can sue them. Guess what? The person that did this to you, they are dead. Dead. Oh, by the way, this character defamation was the basis of how many society operates today. Blacks are all these things. So be careful when you're dealing with them. Always be suspicious. Don't give them position of significance because they are sort of dumb. Just use them and dump them. Use them to do whatever you want to do. Don't, you understand what I'm trying to say? And Black women, you got it. You got the idea. The interesting thing about what was written is the fact that not only do the writers believe what they wrote, they did, their descendants do too. And then after a while, we begin to believe that about each other. Even ourselves, we see each other. We don't trust one another. We have this colonization of the mind begin to occur and flourish in everyone, every society, including Black nations. We all subscribe to the fact that white people are sort of smarter. That's why Prof told me one time that he went somewhere in African country, took some of his students there, and many of them maybe white students, if I remember correctly. And so they went to a restaurant and they brought the bill. The waiter gave it to one of the white guys that was there. Prof is the head. They gave it to one of the white guys. They did not believe that that Black man could be the one that's actually heading this white people. So you can see what's going on there. We sort of believe they are smarter. And so we in a way have embraced this defamation of character, meaning that our mind has been colonized. Our mind has been held captive by an untrue statement. I mean, as I said, the people that did this to us, they are dead. And because society was structured this way, the impact, or let me say, the legacy of their actions has outlived them. It continues, even as we speak. Do you even want to take their descendants to court? They're too numerous to fight. Billions and billions of people, and they don't even understand what you're trying to say because you yourself don't even know what you're trying to say. You don't know your history. You just get angry. It's like, it's not fair, right? Remember when I went for that interview, I can easily say, it's so unfair. I'm qualified. You don't know what you're trying to say. You just know that all the time, you can never do enough. It's not sufficient. So even if you're trying to tell somebody that's not your racial group, what you're experiencing, you're trying to put words to it, you can't put it together because you don't know the source of Black issue. Because your history has been erased and no longer taught. The ones being taught are distorted and mischaracterized through what is written. This is why Blacks need to go through decolonization of the mind. Even your parents, everybody, they don't know the whole thing has been messed up from way back. When I say at the minimum, you need to understand how we got here, this is what I mean. I know I'm out of time, but let me run quickly through this. So I'm going to skip through this. These are the challenges that we continue to face as Black people. We've covered a lot of it. I'm not going to go through it, but it's enough to make anybody angry. Okay. I'm going to walk through a few do's and don'ts to the road to restoration. Don't resort to hatred. Don't do that. It's enough to have hatred. Don't do it. Cultivate love to uplift your spirit. Don't engage in violence or destruction. Champion peaceful and purposeful action. Don't seek revenge. Focus on justice with integrity and wisdom. Don't fuel internal division. Build unity and strength across cultures. Now, that one is important because there's a way they come in and divide us, right? The Igbos, the Hausas, the Yorubas, the Twigs, the this, the that. Oh, South Africans, Nigerians, all of that. And we begin to see each other as each other's enemy. It was intentional. Now I'm saying, don't do that anymore. Don't allow anybody to pay you to do that. Do not. Build unity and strength instead of that. Now, I said, don't embrace the crab in a barrel mentality. Think about a bucket of water. I'm going to give you an analogy of this. You have a bucket of water, but it's hot water, and you throw crab in it, and the crabs are trying to get out. If one crab is going up, the other crabs pulls it down. Trying to get up, the other pull it down. I'm saying, don't be like that. If we're all in a bind, and one is trying to go forward, hope that person, when he gets up, will find a way to bring you up. Don't pull the person down. All of us will perish if we do that to one another. Instead of that, uplift one another, celebrate our successes. And finally, don't perpetuate stereotype. Amplify your true identity and self-worth. And the last one, don't give in to despair. Stay resilient and stay committed to the vision. Remember, all this is about what we are going to do to ourselves. It's not about, oh, our leaders did that. They did this to me. They did that to me. This is what we're going to do to ourselves to be able to get to the road of restoration, to be able to reclaim our future. This is what we need to do. Okay, what is the blueprint? This is my quote. Decolonizing the mind requires the right knowledge, the wisdom to apply it, and the understanding of when to act. This is not just somebody doing something sporadically and just say, oh, we're just going to fight. No. Doesn't get us anywhere. You need the right knowledge, which you're going to gain being a YBM ambassador. You're going to get the right knowledge. You're also going to have the wisdom of that knowledge, the wisdom, and the understanding of when to hit, when to act. You're going to have it. That's what we're going to need to focus on. And that's what I'm charging you with, to focus on. These are some of the things that we need to do. Restore cultural identity, reverse internalized inferiority, reclaim our knowledge, achieve independence, sourcing, securing resource sovereignty. Okay? Those are the things we need to do. I'm going to keep moving very quickly. I think I have a few more slides and that's it. So there are two stakeholders that we have. And what I mean by that, there are two groups of important people that we need for this effort. All of us in this conference today, we are either an ambassador or a partner. You got to be one. You cannot be here if you don't fall into this category. You got to be one, either an ambassador or a partner, okay? Now, an ambassador, they are going to be the champions of change. And these are the things they're going to do. They're going to serve as the face and voice of YBM. They're going to spread the message. They're going to mobilize others to join the movement. They're going to bring others in. And they will be trained. They will get leadership training, cultural training, all the training that is needed to be an ambassador, to know what you're talking about. An ambassador is somebody that represents whether a country or an organization, but you need to know what it is. So you will be equipped with that knowledge. And finally, you will be the grassroots that will be driving local events, the discussion in your various states, countries, regions, whatever. You will be that. That's the role of an ambassador. That's an important role. For our partners, they're going to have full oversight and execution of this program. We're going to be trusting our partners. They can include the state and country representative. They can include business partners that have a deep understanding with resources, whether it's financial, whether it's facilities, whether it's training or tools or knowledge that they want to share. They will help us to form alliances with organizations, businesses, countries, churches and mosques and whatever. They will help us to build those alliances so that we can get the movement deeper. This is not about something that one person can do on their own. And our partners is going to drive advocacy, policy changes, even our practices to make sure it's going to uplift and amplify the Black voice, not only within their states and countries, but even extending to other countries in Africa and the rest of the world. Anywhere a Black person is, they need to get this message, okay? Now, very quickly, how do you become an ambassador? You sign up. That's it. That's the link. You get on there, you'll be able to sign up quickly. How do you become a partner? You do exactly the same thing. You sign up. That's the link to become a partner. And I think the next step towards decolonization of the mind, you sign up, as I said, to become a partner or an ambassador. And please note this date, December 14th, we're going to have our very first training. Okay, once you sign up, both ambassadors and partners, we're going to have a very first training. We're going to share the link of this conference. Okay, it's going to be available on the website, and we'll provide it to you. Please, you begin to disseminate it. And then you start to engage others as ambassadors or partners. Your role starts now, because all of us, we are either one or the other. Your role starts this very minute. And please stay connected. Find all our social media handles on the website and maybe posted for you. Stay connected with us. And I know you are going to enjoy this ride, because the change you're making is not just for yourself. You are making a change that is bigger than you can ever think. I just want to thank you. I want to share something with you very quickly. Please, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I have this little clip. I'm sorry, Madam Moderator. I want to just share this, and then I'm going to keep quiet once I share this.
For centuries, the Black race has faced countless challenges. Our history distorted, our culture suppressed, our minds colonized. Colonialism was not just about lands and resources. It was an attack on our identity, our heritage, our very sense of self. But the future is ours to reclaim. By decolonizing our minds, we take back control of our narrative, our history, and our destiny. At Your Black Matters, we believe in the power of education, the right knowledge, to break the chains of misinformation. We reconnect with our roots, rediscover our history, and restore our cultural pride. Our mission is global, and we're mobilizing the next generation of leaders. YBM ambassadors are the champions of change, amplifying the movement and leading the fight to decolonize the mind. Our partners are the enablers of impact, providing resources, forming strategic alliances, and spreading our mission to every corner of the world. Reclaiming our future begins with you. Decolonization of the mind is a movement, a revolution of thought, and a journey toward true freedom. Become a YBM ambassador. Be a partner in this transformative movement. Together, we can uplift, inspire, amplify, and reclaim the future for the Black race. Reclaim our future. Decolonize your mind.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Francesca. The sign-up links are in the chat for the ambassador sign up, the partner sign up, and make sure you follow YBM on social media. You have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and also there's a podcast. So make sure you listen to the podcast and just stay connected with YBM. So now we're going to take a few moments. Are you ready to launch the poll? Iwaranke, there we go. Everybody take a second to complete the poll. And also, while you have a moment, I know I saw some questions coming into the chat. So please make sure that you put your questions in the chat. so that we can start collecting them. If time permits, we'll answer all questions. If not, we will save the questions and we'll come back and answer them in another medium, maybe a follow-up, etc. But we are taking note of all the questions that are coming in. So first, take the poll, and then immediately after that, start putting your questions in there, and we'll answer as many that we can in the short time that we have left. And I see the questions coming in. How are we doing, Ronke? Are they coming in? You see the answers coming in, or I don't know who's launching the poll. Whoever
I
launched the
can
poll.
see it. I can see it. Yes.
Doctor,
I see some of the states. So for those that pick Nigeria, don't forget to complete your state. I can see it, Aisha.
Awesome, awesome. And I'm gonna take a little second to give a shout out. I saw my mother in here, Dr. Sandra Murphy, and her
Yay.
twin sister, Dr. Sonia Lockhart. They're both online, so that's just a little plug for them. Thank you for joining this morning. I know it's early here on the West Coast.
Yay. Thank you.
I'm interested to
So
see who's gonna win, because did we tell them what the prize was yet? We didn't say that,
I
right?
don't think you did.
Should I spoil the surprise, or should I wait until the winner is announced?
I don't know. It's up to you.
All right. So if your area wins, you'll actually get a special session with Dr. Francesca, and you'll get a chance to have your group, your area will get a chance to have some special one-on-one time with Dr. Francesca Fajimi, the founder of Your Black Matters, who you just heard present here today. And I saw so many people coming into the chat saying, this is great information. I'm learning a lot. So you'll have that one-on-one individualized attention with your founder here. So make sure you take the poll, you represent for your state, and then also make sure if you haven't already, sign up to be an ambassador or a partner, and share this with anyone that you feel needs to be an ambassador or a partner. Become a disciple for YBM. That's great.
Okay, so I think right now we have, I'll tell you, we have 46% participation right now. So not everyone is voting. So perhaps we should just stop in 30 seconds. So vote quickly. You need to hit submit though. Maybe you'll vote it, but if you don't hit submit, it won't come through.
Yes, and if you only put it in the comments, it doesn't count. So you have to
Right.
do this poll. Select with what region you're in. If you're in Nigeria, select the Nigerian state that you are with. And you've got about 15 seconds, because I've been talking for about 15 seconds. So you have to hurry up and put your represent, hit submit so that you can win.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
counting
looks like,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
and poll ended.
And
Okay.
you're gonna share the results with us,
Let me
Dr.
tell
Francesca?
you who's leading. Yeah, I see people are putting it. Oh, some people are saying, please send it again. Okay, let's see if we can relaunch. Okay, all right. So make it quick. Make it quick. Okay. So hurry up. Oh, you started all over again.
Oh no.
That's what that means. I shouldn't have relaunched it. Okay, so go ahead and quickly select your choice now. 15
Yes.
seconds, you should be able, it's just 2 clicks. Click your country, and if it's Nigeria, click your state. And literally, we're going to stop in 15 seconds. Just tell me when it's 15 seconds, Aisha. I'm going to end it.
Okay, I'm starting now.
Okay.
We got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
All right, we're all done here.
Oh, and so we had 50% participation, and then I'm going to tell you the state that won. So I have, there's a tie.
Oh boy.
There's a tie. Is Taraba State and Ondo State. There's a tie.
So it's
All right.
2 winners? Or are we
Yep.
doing a, all right.
They both win. That's it.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner, as we
They both
say
win.
here. And please make sure you mute yourself if you aren't a speaker. We only want our speakers and presenters to be speaking right now. So congratulations to those 2 states. Your country coordinator will contact you with more information about your special prize that we just discussed. So do we have time for a few quick questions, if possible? I saw 3 questions come into the chat from Sam.
Yes, we do have.
So the first question is for our presenters. How do we get the real history or information? And I'm not sure if that's going to Prof, or if each person's going to want to speak on that a bit. Who would like to address that question?
Let's have Prof address it, but the bottom line is there's going to be training. Yeah, Prof, do you want to say anything?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, let me have a shout out to my 2 daughters there, Ayeri and Juliet. They are on the Zoom. I'm happy you are there. Yeah, well, history begins with you. It's not just going to go and read textbooks. History begins with you. Who are you? What's your family history? What's the history of your community, of your village? Some of that, you are not going to have them in writing. And that's where oral history comes in. You got to rely then on the elders. There's an African proverb. When the elderly person dies in the village, the library is closed. So don't let them die before you contact them and begin to ask questions and take notes. That's how it begins. Now, you are very lucky now. I'm an old man. In my days, we had no internet. We had no cell phone. You have access now to the media, to world communications. You can go to online and read some of my books. I'll read other people's books. We are trying really to Africanize our curriculum. We're trying to make sure that there is this decolonization of our history. It's stolen, there's misinterpretation, and they are still doing it just to make us feel inferior. History is very powerful. We got to use it to our advantage.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you. That's so powerful, so simple, but so powerful. This second question from Sam kind of leans into that first. It says, do we still have literatures that have true stories of the facts of the histories of Blacks? So, Prof, can you maybe, or anyone who spoke today, shares one piece of literature that you feel really elucidates our history well?
There are many books out there. The problem, I was in Ghana for 3 years. The problem is, how do you access them? I can give a long list of them, including mine. How do you access them? That is the big problem. The Schomburg Collection, New York, if you have an institution, they can hook up with them. They have great collections. The Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., use the internet to access materials online. You go online and just Google my name, you see a lot of my books. Falola at University of Texas is a great writer. He's written a lot of books on Africa, our relationship with Asante has written a lot of books about Africa. So there are a lot of names, a lot of books out there trying to decolonize this history. It's a trouble. It's a big job. Yeah. Well, people at the university work with them and see whether they can expand their collections, whether they have access to the latest journals. There are journals online on African Studies, Journal of African Studies. They are online. Okay?
Got it. And
One name.
sorry.
I'm glad to send a list of very good books for you to read. But my problem is they may not be in Nigeria.
Got it. And Mrs. Bourne, I believe you had something that you unmuted.
To add the profs list, there are two persons I would strongly recommend. Henry Louis Gates, who is a professor of African American Studies at Harvard and does the series Finding Your Roots and Tracing African Ancestry, and also Isabel Wilkerson and her latest book, Caste, that really helps us to understand identity. Perhaps, Prof, we can put together a reading list.
We can put together a reading list. One of the things I tried to do when I was in Ghana was to create African Association for African Studies. Most of the African studies are outside Africa. Not until 2013, we had the first conference at Ibadan. That organization is headquarters at University of Ghana. You can communicate with them. I don't think they have a journal yet. I'm disappointed. African history needs to be written from an African perspective. We have to control the narrative.
Absolutely.
And if we don't, we are going to be totally colonized again.
Here's the third question, and thank you, Prof, and thank you, Mrs. Bourne, for those. And the reading list is popular. It's very popular in the chat, so I think they want that for sure.
Okay. I'll get it.
So the third question I think should go to Dr. Fajimi is, can we share the YBM vision to our presidents and top leaders in Africa?
That's a good question.
Oh, the answer is YES.
Yes.
Simple. Can we? Yes. Should you? Yes.
Yes.
That's it.
All right. I am scanning the chat for more questions, and YES, 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 and yes. Share it with everyone, right? Do we have any more questions, Ronke? Do you see any questions that I missed? I saw those three, but I'm getting lost with all of the state representation in the chat. I love to see it.
Yes, my highest got one. I think it's actually for Dr. Francesca. So the Bakam Yusuf Maidoki asked, please, we need a copy of this wonderful presentation if possible. So, Mommy, is it possible to get it? So.
Another yes. I'm making it simple, right? Yes,
Yes.
you will have it.
Ask and you shall receive.
Receive, you got it.
And so, are there any more questions? Because we know we've been on the Zoom for a while. We don't want anyone to get Zoom fatigue. Does anybody else have any questions? I saw the question from HOD and about the Taraba State coordinator, and it looks like your coordinator responded below in the chat. So please make sure you take note of that. But if there aren't any more questions,
let me take a special privilege to acknowledge the presence of my daughter Fumi from University of Lagos. She's on this Zoom. Thank you, Fumi, for coming.
Yes.
She was the one who introduced me to Dr. Francisca.
Oh, beautiful,
That's the
beautiful,
connection.
beautiful. We are one. We are connected. I love to see it. It's like a family reunion. All right. So that then brings us to the end of our program. I want to thank our esteemed speakers, Professor Jacob Umofe Gordon, attorney Diane Bourne, Ibaronke. She did so much behind the scenes, like the videos had everything working. Dr. Francesca, thank you for bringing us all together. Reverend Fajimi gave us a beautiful invocation. And now we're here at the end of our program. Thank you for being with us, everyone who tuned in today. Dr. Francesca, do you have any closing words?
He said, thank you, Dad.
Oh, all I can say is I want to thank God for my God for really, really bringing this alive. Without him, I would not be here personally, because it was a mission for me, and it was bred by inspiration from him. I want to thank the coordinator in Nigeria, the country coordinator, Raymond. He did phenomenal work bringing all the states together. I don't know how many states we have there, but bringing them together, I really want to say thank you. And all those coordinators from the west to the east. I mean, we have Nigeria represented here, period. So I'm really very thankful. I want to thank Prof. and my sister, Diane Bourne. They're phenomenal. I was glued to the screen during their presentation, really glued. And truly, we have the right people in the room. My able moderator, she did a phenomenal job, Aisha. She was night and day texting me, making sure things are on track. And Aisha, you did it. I mean, you nailed it. It's this is a great accomplishment. And of course, Mrs. Champion, all the way in Canada. Thank you for being able to do all you did behind the scene. And my husband, thank you for coming on. We had a little network thing, but praise the Lord. We still got prayed upon. So I really want to appreciate God for everybody and all our friends. I have a lot of friends from the US that joined. And I pray that you will be a partner at the minimum, but at the minimum for all of you here, at least let's try to log in, connect with the movement. We can make it happen. I mean, they don't bring these people from drop them here, extraordinary people. It's a lot of people doing their own part that makes it possible. So I truly want to appreciate you all. And if I did not mention your name, you are so important to YBM and this mission. We have to join forces together to uplift, to amplify, and to inspire the Black race. We have to do it, the few of us. So I just want to say thank you all. God bless everybody. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Aisha, if you can drop the link again. Someone
just
I am
saw it.
interested to support through employment in Taraba State. Thank you so much, sir. So the link will be dropped and then you'll be able to partner with us. Yeah. Please try to click on the links and then you'll be able to partner. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Thank you. We are at the end.
All right, everyone. Please be safe. Have a blessed and wonderful day. Thank you for joining us. Make sure to stay connected with YBM on social media.